Welcome to Heller Barnes and Monica, who has the coolest thing in the world because someday, as she becomes a superstar, she has one of those names that's unique in terms of her spelling. Plus, she's a fabulous person. So we're gonna have a great show today. So I'm really excited about it. So, Monica, welcome to the show.
Well, thank
And
you for having me.
glad you're here, and we got to ask Mr. Heller because I know you're in the middle of a move, or you're mucking around in New York through the snow and getting prepared to go to your new digs. Tell us about that? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I will say to those of you who are, I haven't moved in like 25 years.
Oh, so
Gosh.
you're
I'm
really good
I'm
at it.
physically moved, but I haven't moved in a place. So it's amazing, even though I live in a small Manhattan apartment, how much stuff
Mhm.
you accumulate. And moving is basically deciding why have I even ever had this ever,
Yeah.
and just throwing crap out because you have to get rid of everything.
Yeah,
And that's the big once you get rid of stuff, then you can worry about moving furniture and things. But there's so much
Stuff.
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
It's an appalling amount of stuff, and I've got this apartment's what? A little over 500 square feet, that's where I live. The bigger ones the new one's bigger, but I don't want a bunch of
And it'll
stuff.
get full too. That's the
It'll
funny
get
Yeah,
full
thing.
so fast.
but yeah, I can't wait. But I'm moving, I'm still be in Manhattan. We're moving just, right off the Hudson River on Riverside Drive.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so it's close to where I am now because we really like the neighborhood.
Mhm.
But more importantly, welcome to Monica. I wanna here's the thing, when one sees your name, one has no idea how to say it.
Right.
Moniqua, Plante, it's
I
like this
that's not that far off though, Johnny. I get
how
Moniqua Plante a lot.
say it again? So how is your name supposed to be
It's
said?
just Monica Plant.
So
Yeah.
what are the extras what get rid of those extra syllables and
It's
vowels and things.
the first name is it's Canadian, it's French Canadian, it's Monica. It's just a fancy French.
Do you
Her
speak fancy
parents were
French?
like mine, adding extra characters here and there just for
See,
Yeah,
yeah.
Don
fun.
Baarns, an extra A for no
Extraneous
reason.
A's in your last name,
Yeah,
Don.
I know why you got the extra A, yeah. Mhm.
So, but yeah, because I do remember the first time I saw it saying, "What the heck? I have never pronounced this correctly." Uh, and so I assume that's one of the things, but this makes this great thing. When people see your name, because it's unique, you can become a one name wonder now.
They definitely remember it, that's
Yeah.
for sure, because
Oh,
it is
yeah.
a topic of conversation for sure. It's really not that exciting. Everyone thinks it's so much more harder, like, than it is,
When
but
when you see it written, you're not sure how to say it. You're
totally.
just not.
Yeah,
And so I can see people say, "Hey, Moniqua," I can see
totally.
yeah. So
You
and I'll bet you answer to all of it.
I do, I'm always like, "Yes, what? Who?"
I have a dear friend, my best friend's, his last name is Avila. So, it's Avila or Avila, however you want to say it's Portuguese, and so I keep saying, "So do you wanna be is it Avila or Avila?" He goes, "Oh, whatever you want."
yeah.
You're like,
That
"What do
that
you want? It's
destroys
your
me.
name." Yeah.
What do I want? I
Yeah.
So,
wanna call you Susan. Yeah.
so how long have you been? So that everybody knows, you've been doing this about 15 years now. Is that close, Monica?
Oh, me? I thought you were
Yeah.
talking to
Oh,
Johnny.
Johnny. No,
Oh,
Johnny's decades. I did.
no, as far as audiobooks, you mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm only about 3 years in.
Ah.
Yeah,
And
so
now,
yeah.
before we go back to your backstory, I heard rumor you recently did something cool with a big publisher. Is that close?
I did. I just wrapped on Friday my
W-
first, Penguin Random House book, and, it was really fun. It was my first, in studio with a director, and, it was a big one. I was kinda joking with the producer, Amber, that I was like, "Talk about throwing me into the deep end." It was like, "Here's a 19-hour gothic dark gothic fantasy for you, and it's all in British accent." And I
Oh
was like,
wow.
"Okay."
But
Um,
if
it
somebody didn't know you, so by the way, Johnny, did you pick up on this? She definitely lives close to Hollywood and has an acting background because she said she didn't say we finished it. They wrapped. Oh,
Wrapped, yes,
because
I caught it, yeah.
here in LA we
I
have
I was
wrap
waiting for her to bring
parties.
up the craft table, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Craft
yes, we
services.
wrapped on Friday.
Yeah. But so you're a total beginner in this acting performer world. Is that close?
No, I mean,
No.
I started this craziness probably when I was a kid. I mean, I started as a dancer and an ice skater and a ballerina, and I started in musical theater when I
Oh,
was
the traditional path. Yeah.
you
To
know,
nor
and
to narration. Johnny has the same background.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I left it though for a long time and I got into other things. I kind of grew up in action sports industry, skateboarding and surfing and snowboarding. And so I kind of went in that direction for a while. And then I got back into acting when I moved to Los Angeles. And yeah, and then but it's been a while.
Yeah,
I've been
but, you've been on a couple, so tell us about your, like, TV and act so people have perspective. Uh, are there any shows you've been on that maybe if they looked for them, they could find them?
Sure, sure. I did a really good long stint on Nashville when it was on ABC. Um, and that was really fun. I got to spend, the better part of like a year and a half in Nashville, Tennessee, and so that was really great. And that was a big show at the time,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I didn't
yeah, I've done Drop Dead Diva and Banshee, Gilmore Girls.
oh, I saw Banshee. Were you in Banshee?
Yeah, I was on Banshee.
Banshee was a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show. And
That
the writer of that
that
show
was
is
riveting.
amazing. Jonathan
Yeah.
Tropper. He was originally he's a novelist, but now he's written Warrior, he's doing the new Star Wars. I mean, he's really, an amazing
Wow.
writer, yeah. So that was really fun, and, I still do on camera. I most recently did I was the lead of a Lifetime movie, a psychological thriller called Sins in the Family, and I did that show Countdown on Amazon Prime, earlier this year, and, yeah, but other than that, I'm doing
That's
books.
great. Well,
But,
that's wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kinda the same thing though, right?
Yeah.
It is a learning curve for sure. I definitely think having an acting background is super helpful. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think you don't have to, of course. It is you can learn the skill. I do think having an acting background is incredibly helpful. It was for me. But there is a learning curve, is doing for the mic, it's very different from what you do on camera. And there was a bit of a learning curve, but I had literally just dove in. I was like, "Whew."
Well, so what are the differences that you see? What should I look for if I don't have your acting background? What did you have to adapt to?
Just what the mic picks up, right? Like, if you think about camera, it's this close, and it picks up everything, facial expressions, little ticks here and there, a blink, body language, all of those things, and the mic is not seeing any of that. It's not picking it up, and so it's how do we get across, all of that, well, the author's intent, the emotional experience, and all of that for the mic. It's quite different.
Are you
What
Um,
you're
real
saying, and
physical
I
when
want
you narrate?
I can be. It depends on the book, it depends on the book. But yeah, I can stand or sit in my booth, which is great. I have it built so I don't have to move my mic if I stand or sit. And so, it depends on the book. Some books I can sit for and I feel really comfortable and confident in doing that. And then other books I need to stand for. So it just depends on the book, really.
did you train initially when you started, did you start right in on camera, or were you trained for stage as well?
I started on stage.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I started on stage. I grew up, doing musical theater. I did, like, the San Jose Children's Musical Theater in Northern California for many years, and I mostly did theater, gosh, until, much later, until I moved to Los Angeles, really. I did a couple commercials and things like that in San Francisco, which is where I'm from, but it really wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles that I really started the on camera seriously.
And how long have you been in LA-ish?
Oh my gosh, it's been like it feels I was for years, I was like, "Oh, it's only been like 5 years," and I was like, "Oh, no, I think it's been like 15, 17 years now." Yeah, I've been here a while, but it's cool,
It's
and
one of the, of all the cities I've been to, it's certainly one of them.
yeah,
Uh,
it is one of them.
Well, you're
yeah,
in the cool part of town, I have to admit that.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Venice Beach, and
that's nice.
it does have a, similar vibe to, San Francisco and stuff.
Yeah.
There's just it's very colorful. I like it. Yeah.
Colorful is a good word for
Yeah, yeah.
it.
I mean, it's
If you
certainly not boring.
It is definitely not a boring place, and for those of you who don't know, it's also close to Santa Monica, which is a little more famous, but Bennett is also famous. Muscle Beach is down there. I mean, almost anything you could want in life, you can probably find within 10 minutes of, where she's at. It's a great part of town, and a lot of colorful people is the best way to put it. So whatever you're looking for, I'll bet you could get inspiration down for different characters from real characters you're seeing every single day. Is that close?
Cruising around. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Can we go back to the the acting stuff we talked about a moment ago? Having trained for stage, which is jazz hands and especially musical theater and sing out Louise and all that stuff. Then you find yourself
Fingers.
when you discussed on camera and on mic, I personally find giant similarities between on camera and on mic
Mhm.
because of
Intimacy.
the intimacy and how it picks up everything.
Yeah.
And when you spoke, you were gesturing, let me ask you this: when you're working in audiobooks now, working on the mic,
Mhm.
do you still use your gestures and things? Because
I
can we
do.
talk about that? Because a lot of actors picture this,
Oh, yeah, just
and
standing
I'm like,
still.
that's not. You're taking away everything that's you
Yeah,
and everything that belongs to a given character.
I
Yeah,
concur. I concur. I feel like, I think a really good example of this is a book I did called American Rapture, and it's a, apocalyptic horror, and it's a 16-year-old the protagonist is a 16-year-old girl, and it was so interesting. People were like, "How did you make your voice sound like that?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, that was just my voice." And it was because of how I held myself in the booth. This was a book that I stood for. Um, she is extremely sheltered. She is brought up in a very, religious, extreme sort of community, and she doesn't really know anything beyond that, and she has no voice really, and so I just pictured this young girl who kinda she kinda stood. I just figured she was so turned in on herself, and so I kinda stood like that when I was doing her for a majority of the book. Obviously, she grows and changes and things, she has to deal with a apocalypse and it does shift, but that's the voice that came out,
And
you
you
know?
would physically, I mean, I saw you do
Yeah,
it here.
basically
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of did this because that's how she held herself. And, some people said, it was this breathy, raspy voice, which I have a breathy, raspy voice anyway. But that was the voice that came out. And it made sense to me because she didn't have a voice. Like she barely spoke. She had no voice in her household. She barely spoke at school. She had like no friends,
Oh,
and it was just so
it's
it was just
yeah.
this was she wasn't gonna have this big booming on
Yeah,
voice
yeah,
that
yeah.
came out at all. So breathy made sense to me. That's just it wasn't like a conscious choice of like, oh, I'm gonna make her voice like this. It was really like that was just the voice that came out. And I do have a breathy, raspy voice anyway. But it came out small,
How
because she had that's who she was.
hard was it, or how difficult has it been for you having been on stage? Of course, you worked on camera, so you probably have that. It was probably an easier switch to the vocal booth, because for a lot of people, for stage, because
Yeah.
then to go to on camera, to go to the voice, it takes some hard lessons sometimes to realize how small you can be
Mm,
and still be absolutely performative and dead on without being, because it's a different media.
yeah. I
And
think as long
yeah.
as it's grounded in emotion, right? As long as
Yes,
it's grounded
yeah.
in whatever that feeling is that the character is going through. Um, and I do a lot of romance too, and romance, can be very quiet, as well. And, it's all those different emotions and, romance listeners, they want all those emotions,
Yes.
and so yeah, I think on camera is very similar in that way. Um, I think the emotions have to be even like this is just my personal feeling, like, I have to be really grounded in the emotion for it to come across on the mic. because it is so intimate and because it's not picking up, that physicality that we have. It's not seeing it per se. But yeah, I think to your point, like you said, like we're not sitting in there. It was so interesting. I did like a dubbing thing yesterday, and one of the gals I was talking to, she goes, "Yeah, but don't you like when you're doing your narrator voice?" And I was like, "No, no,
My what?
that's
My
not." I
what?
was like, "My what?" Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I listen to a lot of nonfiction." I go, "Okay, well, I see where maybe, that comes from." I said, "No, like, it's full acting." Every part of it is acting, whether it's third person POV or first person POV, um, it's all, it's all acting, and that's what's so great about it, like, especially coming from on camera, is that now, I get to act every day,
Yeah,
and I get
yeah.
to act characters that I would never get to do on screen, like this 16-year-old, who's going
Yes,
through a,
yes.
You look 16.
apocalyptic,
The
horror. Um,
the number of different characters from different emotional places in different geographical places that you get to play in audiobooks is a dramatic increase of what you can play
on camera.
on camera because, you have to look a thing. Here you
100%.
don't, you have to feel a thing.
I have to feel a thing. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
true.
And
It's
and
so
and
true.
and people ask me all the time, say, "Well, geez, how do you get that in? How do you figure out from someone's voice that they're here?" When you talk to someone on the phone, whether it's a happy or sad conversation, you just know by the sound of their voice, the catch in their voice, what their mood is.
Yeah,
If they're being snarky, you don't have to see their eyebrows raised, you feel it.
totally.
And I think particularly a lot of actors newer to the audiobook game lose the sense of the fact that that's how real life is. You talk to somebody on the phone when they're crying or they just got over something, "What's the matter? Immediately. "Oh, hi, how you doing?" "Oh, no, what's wrong?" Yeah,
Mhm.
and it just the way they say it, the cadence, the syntax, the breaths, all that stuff, and I think we, humans in general, but particularly actor humans, tend to forget that's human, that's so human, and
Totally.
and we miss it. We try so hard to play a thing instead of just be a thing, and I think people need to, just understand, you're never gonna all the myriad roles you've played in audiobooks, all those feelings that you've not been able to express as, Moniqua, Plante, you're able to feel because they're feelings that were all accessible to you, always.
100%. 100%. It doesn't matter if she's a 16-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 45-year-old or a 60-year-old, like, it doesn't matter because we can still put ourselves into a human experience, even if it's experience like we haven't had. Like I said, like, I haven't gone through a zombie apocalypse, but,
No, no,
you
not
know,
that I think you might
I
be right now.
I mean, we might soon, who knows? But like, all those feelings are still human feelings, and we've all had them. And, I think it's you who said it, maybe, but like, feel me a story, and that's really what it is. And that's what was so interesting about, being in studio with a director. It was the first time like I was able to I didn't have to worry about any of the tech stuff and I could just be in the story.
Let's talk about some I know Keith has some question, but let's talk about that for a second because most of the audiobook work that people get is so difficult. It's self-directed.
Mhm.
We can talk about that. Then here you are at, Penguin Random House. You can talk about I don't know what you can say about it, but you have a director. That's the first director you've had in an audiobook?
Yeah,
T
yeah.
t tell us what the difference is, what it felt like, because I think it's an amazing thing.
I loved it. It was also it was hard. It was all the things. It was like all the feelings really because going into it I had, you know, uh a bit of a tragedy happened the night before, a family member passed away. And so it was like, the next day I had to go in studio and do uh, this big book. And, I joked about before we got on, like, talk about throwing me in the deep end. Like, it wasn't like, here's a nice, like, easy book for you. It's like a 19-hour dark gothic fantasy with British accents the whole time. And my director was British, which was great.
Yeah.
And which was super helpful. And, but talk about this is why I love art so much. Like, it was so good for me to have a place to put all those things that I was kind of going through, uh, to have art to focus on.
The
And, for people who don't know, we are self-directed most of the time. So, we're in our own booths, we're doing punch and roll, which means, if we make a mistake, we have to kind of go back and punch in. So we are doing some kind of editing a bit, beforehand and stuff. So the thing that was so wonderful about being in studio is I could just give up that bit of, that extra control. And I just was able to put my trust in my director to just, and like if he said straight up, if I don't say anything, you're good. And just go. And I was like, okay, like I so wasn't used to that, because we second guess ourselves so
Yeah.
much when we're doing it on our own. Like, did that work? Did that come across?
I
And
would have loved, when I work at Penguin Random House here in New York. Penguin Random House is one of the studios that gives you a director almost always. So if you go to and you get to go to their studio. So I frequently ask for Paul Rubin because he's my friend and stuff. So
I asked for Paul too
yeah,
at first, but
yeah,
he was
I've never had an experience where my director didn't say anything.
yeah. Oh, no, I mean, he
Because it's
definitely
Paul damn Rubin.
yeah. I mean, he definitely said stuff, but he was saying, like, it was lovely because this was my first time, I obviously was nervous.
Yeah.
It was a big book. It's my first book for PRH. And, I've done other top 5 publishers, but this was my first book for them. And, obviously we want to do a good job and, all of those things going into it. And obviously I had some emotional stuff happening
Can
going
you
in.
tell us how you utilize that emotional without I don't we have to go into details of your life, but I know it's sad. Can you tell us how your emotional state helped or hindered your performance or
It
how you
was
used it?
it both helped and hindered. I think because the first day, obviously it was the news just hit me the night before. And, I did, my friends also advised me, like, I told the director what was going on.
Yeah, yeah.
I just made sure he knew, like, this is what happened yesterday. So
Here's where I
I'm
am, yeah.
feeling quite nervous and anxious. I also had to do it in an accent, that wasn't my own, and, so we just had that conversation, and it was something I needed to be reminded of that the director's there to support you. They're there to help to hold you and help you, and I think I was so nervous being like, "Oh my god, what happens if the director doesn't like what I'm doing?" And, all those things that we actors do, and it just wasn't like that. We talked about my process, we talked about, my choices, and we made it, some choices going in when we started. And, at one point, I think it was my 4th day in studio, things were just really hitting me. And I just was second guessing everything. I couldn't get in flow. Um, and he had some tough love for me, and I needed it. And it was really good. He was like, "Okay, Monica, like, this is going to be a problem for us today." And I was like, "I already know what you're gonna say." Like, I'm second guessing everything. And then I was able, as soon as he said it, it just I was able to let go again, and I just got in my head.
Yeah.
And then we got into like a really good flow. And that's what the director is there for, to be like, put your trust, like, I will let you know if something's not working. And it was brilliant. It was wonderful. And it was, like I said,
How
it was a difficult book. And, I was so happy to have him there.
how difficult okay, when let's say you've not had a personal trauma prior to the moments where you were
Hopefully you don't.
so let's say in the book, whatever book it is you're doing, there's drama and trauma and sadness and tears. Like, I'll for me, like, let's say Marley and Me.
Uh-huh.
I did Marley and Me, and then for those of you, I don't wanna be a spoiler, but, Marley doesn't finish the book.
Yes.
Um, so in yeah, and this is true, anybody who's ever done a coming of age book, whether it's male or female, apparently, according to most authors, a young man or young woman in their teens can't really mature to an adult unless their dad, sister, mother, brother, or dog die. That's that's
Oh my
that's
gosh, that's the book
crucial
I
to
was talking about.
personal development.
Yeah.
So
That was a full coming of age story in, like, the time of a apocalypse, in the world. And it was a coming of age story, ultimately.
so
It's not a YA, it's definitely not a YA, but she definitely, it's a very adult book, but she goes through all of this trauma and stuff. And
Did you find the trauma that you were in at the moment to be, I hate to say, but helpful in drawing on to
you know,
what you
it
do?
I yes, and I think this is true. I mean, I could say this even for when I've had on camera things, like, sometimes when you're not feeling 100% or you're a little sleep deprived or you've
Yeah,
had an emotional thing, like, everything's right here.
yeah.
It's so easily accessible because it's just right here. Like, if you're tired or not feeling good, you're just like, "I'm just so effing tired." Like, just start crying, you know? But really, like, um, me having this emotional undercurrent that was just there, um, it was I didn't have to work for it. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
there.
I
And, there
find it
are some books where I do have to work for it more in terms of trying to find that emotional connection, or whatever, and that's true, I think, for any actor. There's gonna be some that you slip right into because you get it, it's there. Others, you may have to find other ways to it. And, in this case, it was all right there,
yeah.
readily available on a silver platter.
How many books in your 3 years would you say you've done, you think?
I am probably at 160 by now,
Mhm, that's
something
wonderful.
like that.
Do you
Yeah.
remember your first book?
Yes. My first book was a romance called Kiss of the Irish.
Oh,
Um, and I've since that book kinda came to me sort of randomly, and I think it was before I had gone to the New England narrator retreat, because when I first met you, I had done one book, and like I said, it kind of happened randomly, and I was so new, and I had just done, like, an audiobook course, The Great Audiobook Adventure, if anyone uh, I had done an audiobook course, and I was really just focusing on learning, and that's why I went to the New England narrator retreat, even though I was, like, brand spanking new, and that was at the end of 2022, and then the beginning of 2023, I just was like, "I have to go full time," because it was just where I was at, in my life and work-wise, and I feel I'm so incredibly grateful that I, was able to, and well, it was romance, really.
yeah.
Um, and I love romance. I love it as a genre, and I'm just so grateful that that was sort of what took off. And now, I do my romance under Kingsley Rose. I don't hide that. That is my pseudonym, but I have some rom-coms and stuff under my name too. But it's really just so people know what they're gonna get.
How would you define, do you define the difference between romance versus erotica in your work?
Not
And
really. Not
so
really. Some are
one
yeah, they're
yeah,
one
good.
and the same. Some books are gonna be more, steamy than others,
Mhm.
but for the most part, romance is gonna have all of those things in it, you know? Some is more intense, than others for sure, but, for like I said, for the most part, I do romance under Kingsley Rose and really more like thrillers, horror, fantasy, things like that under Monica. Uh,
Kingsley Rose is good. Wow, how'd that name come about? Since I still don't understand Moniqua.
Moniqua. You gotta do it with a little flip. Um,
Doesn't work for me. I'm
Kingsley
sorry.
Rose, it was so funny. I was trying to think of, and I wanted something that was still in my family, like, kind of a family name or mine, I wanted something that seemed related. And my name just didn't feel very like sexy romance
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, yeah.
So I was like, I wanted something that also lent itself to the genre. Um, and this is crazy. But you know how like you come up with like I think it's like your dog's name and
Oh,
your
right, right, yeah. And your first street you lived on,
yeah,
the
something like that.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's supposed to be like your porn name or
That's
something.
your porn name, I think, yeah.
So mine would have been King Fallwood.
King Fallwood.
Yeah, which is not a woman's name.
No, but it's a great name.
And so a friend of mine was like, "Well, what about Kingsley?" And I was like, "Oh." And I have a cousin named Kingsley, so that worked. And then Rose was my grandmother's name. So it just kind of ended up working out. I was like, I don't know if my grandmother would be happy
Yeah.
about that or not,
Hi, I'm doing romance and erotica under your name, grandma.
but
Hey,
I'm
Graham.
proud of it. I mean, romance is such an important genre and all the different facets of it, all the different, you know, tropes within the genre. I think it's so important, and sometimes it gets a bad rap, and, you know, it's so healing for so many people, and, yeah. But so
You
I'm
know,
very
the
excited to be part of
the
that.
bad rap thing, let's talk about that for just a second because I've done some rom-coms. I don't do erotica at
Mhm.
all just 'cause I'm not comfortable, so that's fine, which is fine, but the bad rap is it's a damn shame,
It really is.
and I think it has something to do sometimes with either a perception that the people performing aren't good, which is not correct,
Mhm.
and or that the people listening are somehow seedy. You know, there's a f you make I've heard people make jokes frequently, so it's not mine, that the people who because romance is one of the largest listened to genres in the
A
universe, if not
multi-billion
the.
dollar industry that kind of supports the rest of the
Really, so it's a big
industry.
deal, and
Yeah.
the people say who people listen to it, you know, they get, like, Christian audio, and then the paper bags, to get their romance. I'm like and I'm not sure. I just think people want that escape. It's the same reason, the
It's like
Hallmark
any
films that people
yeah,
make fun of are so popular.
it's like any genre.
People like
People,
yeah,
it's a s it's escapism, it can be healing, you know, for me, like, I know so many narrators and authors who it's helped them through really difficult times, you know,
yeah, yeah,
and like I said, it can be so healing for women in so many ways, especially, some people give, dark romance a bad rap, but it is, it can be really healing.
define dark romance for those of us
Well,
who don't know, like me.
things that just darker themes, I guess.
Like BDSM kinda stuff?
Yeah, maybe some of that stuff. I mean, there's so many different facets to it, but I think that people who've had trauma, you know,
Yeah,
that can be a way for them to find healing through it.
yeah,
And um, I just think, anybody who says, kind of lumps it into something just doesn't know what they're talking about. Um,
absolutely, I
there's good and
agree.
bad books in every genre, and, um, I just think it's such a huge force to be reckoned with. It's so big and important and popular
It
because
pays
of that.
it paves the way it
Yes.
paves the way for poetry,
Yes.
you know? It paves
Yes.
the way for philosophy. The and some of it's nothing it's human nature to have romance and all the sexual escapades that are there
Yeah,
is also human nature or human
it is.
fantasy,
Yeah, we
and
all
as
need
Paul
it.
Rubin says
Yeah,
all yeah, we all say all the time, nobody in a book knows they're a character in a book. You know,
100%.
if they're in a sci-fi book and they're talking rock that's sexually active, that's what they are. Oh, I
Totally.
froze. Oh, am I there? Am I
Oh,
back?
yeah, 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 you're here.
Oh, I
So
froze out. Could you hear
yeah,
me? I
but
don't
you're
know.
back. We hear you. So one of the
Okay,
things that Keith
everything's
Brown
fine.
mentions.
The internet's going
Yeah, so Johnny's internet is currently a little so Monica and I will continue, and you keep coming in and out, Johnny. So we're seeing you, and you freeze, and you're coming back. Um, so Keith mentions that you're a great collaborator. So do you do a lot of the things where it's you and a couple others, or you and one other?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in romance, there's obviously, there's dual and duets, and I've worked a lot with Keith, and he is amazing and such a great,
So
uh,
what's the difference between
co-voice.
those for those who may not be
In
familiar?
romance, they have dual POVs, which means each chapter is usually one person's POV. Like, it will be from the female perspective, and I will do all the voices within that chapter. And so that's where the collaboration really comes in because, Keith and I have done a lot of duels, which means I will do my chapter and I do all the voices, including the male voices. So Keith and I will talk about, like, well, how does this guy sound? What's his personality? Like, what's his cadence and things like that. And so, of course, I'm not going to sound like Keith per se, but I can get a similar vibe in those characters.
Right.
And I think that's really important. Um, and so that's dual. And then duet is kind of, it's almost more like theater performance where, there's still different POV chapters, but the guy will do all the male voices throughout the entire book and I will do all the female voices throughout the entire book, but I'll just be narrating my POV chapters particularly as well. So, it really gets put together kind of almost like a theater production where, if you're lucky enough to do it live with someone, you can really play off of each other. It's a lot more expensive to produce duet performances because of all of that, editing and things of putting the voices together,
Do you
because we're
do
not in the
do you
same
do you
place
do
doing
all
it.
yours independent, like you talked before, and then you just do your parts, even though it's kind of an interleaved back and forth
Mhm.
dialogue?
I've done both.
Yeah.
I've, been able to jump on Zoom with a co-narrator before during those sections, especially like if it's a banter. That's really lovely to be able to do that, but not everyone can, right? Because, we are in our own booths, we narrate on our own time schedules. Um, but yes, so sometimes, I mean, this is where the acting background comes in, I think, is that if I'm having to do just my wild lines in the male POVs chapter, I'm having to respond how I think, to how I think he might say something. And that's hard. And you hope you get it right when they put it all together and it sounds good. Um, but there's a lot of listeners who will only listen to duet, and then there's some listeners who will only listen to dual. Everybody has their own preference, and I don't think one is better than the other. It's just different way of doing it.
But it sounds complicated for the ones that are the back and forth where but that's where great actors, yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
you do that. This is not something new to you, correct?
No, no, for sure not. And I do love it if you can play off of someone. But again, we don't always have that option. So like I said, I think that is where, having an acting background comes in, is helpful, because you are acting out that dialogue against sort of what you imagine how this person would say it.
Do
Uh,
you ever go to an audition or a call where you've got your it's a dialogue and you've got your bit and the person, the reader they've assigned gives you nothing.
yes, that has happened many times. I mean,
So
it's
I think if you can get through that, you can get
yeah,
through anything
yeah, for sure.
because that's clearly the most absurd. It's like, why are they even here? Yeah,
Yeah.
you ever watch, what's the TV a show called Con Man? You ever see Resident Alien with Alan Tudyk?
I don't think I did.
It's
Nuh-uh.
hilarious. Well, he did a show called Con Man, and Nathan Fillion's in it and stuff. Some of the episodes are 8 minutes, some are 11, they're just like little fillers, and he does one where he goes and the reader is acting, and so he doesn't even get a line, and the reader starts doing his lines too. It's just very funny. You'd like as an actor, it's very funny.
Yeah.
See if you find Con Man, I think it's on Netflix.
I mean, we don't, because we're not going in the room so much anymore. Fortunately, I'm not having that issue. Most on-camera auditions now are all self-tape, and so I
Yeah,
have my own reader, thankfully,
yeah.
who I, have worked with a lot, and so we have a really great rapport, and, luckily that's not the case, but, yes, that happened a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
when we used to go into rooms and things like that,
I'm
so
really going back to days long ago because now I don't it's all self-tape, which I suck at, but
really? It's so funny because some people have a really hard time with it. Now, I, have always had an agent in the Southeast. So for 18 years or so, I always had an agent, whether it was Atlanta, I had one in Texas who kind of represented me for, things that were casting out of the Southeast, especially. Um, so when I had been doing self-tapes for 15 years
Yeah,
already
you
by the
didn't
time
wow,
fly
yeah.
in just for an
all of that
audition.
stuff happened with the pandemic, and I was like, "Oh, great, excellent. I don't have to drive 2 hours across town." You know? Um,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay, I may be it looks I'm getting bounced out again every second. If I can't get back in,
you're
I
in.
just wanna say what a pleasure it is to see you. Not you, Don, you, Monique. So,
Goes without saying.
that's and I think so. I think I'm gonna get bounced.
I can
Okay,
hear
I'll
right
you
now
fine.
it's working great.
Yeah.
I can't hear
Okay,
Oh,
well,
I can't hear anybody.
but we're hearing you fine, and your signal's coming in great. So just pretend you're still here. It's working fantastic. Okay, so
I don't
you
know
may
if
not
I
be
can
hearing me.
hear you, Don. Yeah.
And if I remember right, you've won some awards as well, correct?
Oh, yeah,
And they changed your life?
not necessarily. I mean, again, and I think most actors are probably gonna say this, like, awards are great. It's really fun to get recognized, and, going to award ceremonies is super fun. I mean, I'm usually in my sweatpants every day, so getting dressed up and being with all of our friends, is really fun. Um, but, that's not why we do it ultimately, as actors. We're in it because we like being actors and we like, being able to do what we do. But yes, so as Kingsley Rose has won a Sultry Listener Award and been nominated quite a few times, which was really fun. Monica Plant, myself, I love talking about myself in the third person, like I'm not here. um, I made Best of Audible 2023 twice in my first year, which was really cool. Audible Best of 2024, Kingsley was that year. Um, so that's been really exciting, to have had the real pleasure of doing books that have been recognized that way, is really exciting. And, we do need that validation here and there. I mean, we are, sensitive actors. And so it is nice sometimes to get that. But again, it doesn't necessarily change anything.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah.
important. It's wonderful to be nominated, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy you have been regularly and lauded for I mean, you're very good, so it's wonderful you're getting the kudos you richly deserve. But I think I make this point as often as I can. There's more of us workers, busy bee workers in the industry who don't get individual recognition, even though some of the work is amazing.
Mhm.
While there's, Dion, my friend Dion Graham's up for like 6 awards, and Ray's up for 95, and Ballerini's up for 108, so
Totally.
and everything they do, it's like they can fart in a microphone and win an Audie. They're so good. Yeah, 'cause such meaningful farts, but
Yeah.
when it doesn't I want the people watching and listening to understand you don't do this to get a trophy at the end. You don't make a movie for an Oscar, and you don't make, Sovas is lovely, and Audie's and the nominations and the awards, and
Yeah.
God knows I love it, and you're getting noticed by audiophile reviews and then Kirkus reviews. That's all it's wonderful. But if you don't get that, don't despair. It doesn't mean you aren't wonderful.
And it doesn't, I mean, somebody did a poll and within this other group that I'm in, and it was about like awards and stuff. And the mass consensus was you didn't get any more or less work, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've heard stories of, well-known narrators who, didn't work for a month before their Audie nomination and didn't work for months after their Audie nomination or win.
I I
So
I
again,
never got more work because of it. I've won, what, 5 Audis and been
yeah,
nominated 17 times. It doesn't it's nice.
it's
I
like
like
it's
it better than not, but,
yeah,
at the end of the day, I'm still hustling for the next job like every other actor,
totally.
always, and to clear up any while I do get books, and I imagine people say, "We have a book for you," that happens, we're both still auditioning for work
100%.
and getting turned down for
Yeah,
work.
a lot.
A
I turned
lot,
down a lot of auditions, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, people who aren't in the trenches working, trying to work, don't understand that it's part of being said, auditioning and not getting or getting is just part of an
It's just
actor's life.
it is, and it's the same with on camera, like, I've had some really wonderful on-camera auditions, and I look at the audition as that's the job.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Your job is the best you can.
my job is to do this audition at the best that I can, the way I see it, and then let it go.
Yep.
Because auditioning is a job in and of itself, and we do that as narrators too. I audition a lot.
So
Yeah.
what's it
I mean, and
so
I'm very
define a
grateful
lot.
that I get those auditions, but I don't book all of them, that's for
What
sure.
can you define a lot for us? Like, so you audition once every month, is that
Are you talking for on camera or for
for
audiobooks?
audiobooks?
Um, it goes in waves. Like this week, I think I had a couple, and then there's some weeks that I have a ton, and then there's weeks that I have none. So, it comes in waves.
What's a ton? Metric.
I mean, I hate saying this because, again, I don't want anybody
Okay, that's fair.
listening to despair, in any way if they're not getting those auditions. So some weeks I can be quite busy, maybe have 5 or 6 auditions, but then I might go for weeks where I don't have any. you know?
Okay.
So again, it's like anything within the entertainment industry, the acting industry. You're gonna have dry spells, you're gonna be really busy sometimes, and it feels like that feast or famine, and then sometimes it's gonna be freaking crickets.
Yeah.
And we just there's no rhyme or reason to it. And sometimes, this is where I laugh, where I'm like, I don't know where they come from sometimes. Like, say, for example, my PRH book. Like, yes, do I reach out to everyone at PRH? I do. But at first, when I got the book, I was like, how did this even come to me? And my friend's like, it's because you've been working for it. And who knows how, like, my name got into the mix and how, she thought of me. But I had to be reminded. One of my friends is like, because you've been working really hard and putting it out there, and it's all energy. And this is something that I talk about a lot. I'm also a certified health and life coach, and I talk about this a lot. Like, it's all energy. So people who hate reaching out, and it makes them cringe, but I'm like, you could be the answer to someone's problem
Right.
by reaching out, you know? And sometimes I'm not great at it, and then other times
Mhm.
do it consistently. But again, it's energy that you're putting out there. And I had to realize that book came to me because of all of the work I had been doing previously in the past 3 years
So
that made her think of me
yeah,
for
so
that book.
tell us about that. I mean, so you started reaching out early in this process, and what does that look like for you? What is it like that means you send an email to one person or
No, I try to be on a schedule, but I don't always stick to it. Um, I have all of my contacts, and maybe I split those contacts into each, like, weekly thing. And so each week I'll have a number of emails going out to different people on my list. Um, do I do that all the time? No, because especially if I do get booked up, which I'm really grateful when I am, um, I don't reach out as much, obviously, because I don't have space necessarily. But also, I think that's important to just let people know too, to stay on their radar, to be like, hey, I may not have, my next availability is this, but all these cool things have happened. And I just wanted to reach out and say hi, and I hope everything's great with you.
Yeah.
So even when you may not feel like you have something to report, sometimes it's just like, hey, I saw this cool thing and it reminded me of you. Or, sometimes it's just saying hi.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I have availability here if you have anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also think there's something to be said for and this is I believe in karma and positive energy, that kind of thing. I think if you let's say your goal is to work for Penguin Random House or Simon
mhm,
Schuster, whatever it is, I think you should not only say it, you should write it down. Make it,
100%.
right. This year, you want to do a New Year's resolution. That's the kind of thing that makes sense to me. This year, I really want to work for Simon and Schuster, and then write it down monthly and decide what steps are you taking to make that a reality, or whatever the company is. I just think if you are on, you can't write down things that are nonsensical, but a reality. I want to work with Don Barnes. I want to do, things that can happen. Write it down and strive to make that happen. And
Take
you may find in
inspired
the
action.
process other good things happen on the way too.
100%. And
Yeah.
that's sort of what happened, because while I was doing the Penguin Random House book, which is such a good book, um, it really is. It's just a good, I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
did you like this experience? I don't think so. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was just really cool. And, I then booked 2 other, multicasts with publishers I hadn't worked for before. And
Oh,
again,
cool.
I think it was just that kind of energy that I was in. I was in studio working consistently daily, and there was just something about that. But then I also, you know, we second guess ourselves, obviously, as actors. And like I said, like when the book first came to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like, how did this even come my way? Like, how did she think of me? And I was all second guessing it. And that was where, a friend had to be like, well, yeah, but you've been working for 3 years to make a name for yourself and reaching out and letting people know that you want to do this type of work. So that's how it came to you.
Well, and also
You
just
know?
to remind you, you had been done one book and you went out to the narrators retreat,
Mhm.
meaning, and you went there and you didn't talk to anybody. Oh, wait. I think you talked to like the rest of us. You're there to meet people, let
Yeah,
them know a little bit about you. You're having lunch with them, dinner with them, you're going to classes with them, coaching, and you build some relationships there. And then I think you kept them up.
yeah,
And then I know that there are things going on here in LA that you've gone to because we run into each other here and there at different
mhm.
events. And then you continue to
To
have
build on those
you have a
relationships.
group of people, don't that you talk with
Yeah,
that are I mean, because we know some of the same people. So in other words, make sure everyone understands. You don't sit and say, "I'm so busy, I don't wanna talk to anybody right now," or ever. You're constantly working this because you have both small groups of people that you're interacting with, and then you're doing reach outs, every so often,
yeah.
whatever your schedule is, correct? Incorrect?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I just think, it's been really lovely. The audiobook community is it's so wonderful. It really is so wonderful. Um, because we do spend a lot of time by ourselves. Like when we do get together, that's why it's so exciting. It's so exciting. It's so fun to see each other in person. But I also have like, you know, groups of friends that I have, text chains with and DM groups with that we're talking all day, every day going back and forth. I have a group of really good friends that we get on Zoom together when we're recording during the day. It's like body doubling. We're like in a workroom together. Everything's off, but we can see each other when we're recording our books, so it keeps us accountable. So it's things like that that just help with the work days and stuff. And so yes, I'm constantly in communication with other narrators, um, other people within the industry. I do go to events purposely, and that's why, I was advised to go to the New England Narrator Retreat when I was
Yep,
brand new,
yep.
and my dear friend Tim, told him about it, and Tim Lunabus went as well that year, and I think he didn't have any books, I think I only had 1. Like, we were both such newbies, but it was such a transformative experience that, just meeting other people within the community, but also meeting some of the producers and just learning and growing and getting to know people as just people, as friends. And that's what I think everybody needs to remember too, that producers and they're people just like we are, and they've
Yep,
got a
yep.
job to do. And it's been really, I just feel really, really grateful that I have the relationships that I do. And I'm friends with some of these, people, and they're really, really great humans. And that's really cool, getting to know people like that. And that's why the awards and things like that are fun to go to. Like I was nominated for a Sovas and I went to that, and I was able to get to know a couple other people within the industry that I knew, but didn't know super well,
Right.
and really got to just have hours and hours with these people and really get to know them as fellow human beings. And, it really was wonderful, you know? And I just think, I get that a lot of us behind the mic too, maybe just don't feel, super great socially, like being out, and it's hard for a lot of people. I know that, being social like that. But everyone is so lovely and welcoming within this industry, and it's just been
So why do you think that is compared to a lot of the other industries, performing industries?
maybe because we are by ourselves so much. I don't know. I don't know. But it's just a lot of really great humans, and I just feel really grateful and fortunate to be a part of this community. And, hopefully for
There's
me,
at least 3 who I really hate.
So what do you recommend to somebody who's new and hasn't had all those experiences and that your kind of acting background? What would you, if you were to start over, what should they be looking at?
I mean, I do think coaching is important, you know,
No, that's
um,
BS. It's a waste of time
learning
and energy.
I mean, that was just where I focused. I mean, again, this is just my
Mhm.
experience that I knew that I wanted to work and I wanted to get started quickly and I wanted to be able to jump in. And so I focused on, going to these events and getting to know people and working with coaches and honing my craft. And that was just where I put my money where my mouth is. And I didn't have it, but I invested,
Yeah.
in myself. And yes, did I probably put myself in a little bit of debt? I did.
You're a
Um,
consummate professional, truly.
But
that was how I, wanted to do it, and I took a course, and, I did those things because for me, that was how I found my way in.
right.
Everybody's journey is gonna be different, you know? But for me, I felt like coaching, I was like, "I need to know that I know what I'm doing when I get behind the mic," and so, like, at the New England Narrators Retreat, I got to work with Paul Rubin. And that was really helpful, to have that kind of coaching with someone like him, right off the bat. And, so I had quite a few people that I worked with, that helped me understand the process and helped me, um, become the narrator that I am now. And of course, it's just like with on camera, like I worked with so many different people and you take little things from here and there and the things that work for you and you let the rest go. I had a coach that
I
always
feel like
said,
I paid you to plug this thing.
"Eat eat the fish, spit out the bones," as a coach once told me, and I think that's true. It's like we take a little bit here and we take a little bit there, and, from the different people that we learn from that works for us, and, yeah. But that was how I got started, and it wasn't just I mean, I did a lot of events. I went to APAC, I
Yeah.
went to the Audis. I did the Great Audiobook Adventure, Elise Arsenault's course, which was pivotal. Um, I worked with coaches. I found different people that I wanted to coach with and, worked on my samples with people and, did all of that. So when I
So it all got
was
handed to you. That's what I'm hearing.
no. Oh, yeah, totally. Handed on a silver platter. But I do think, like, some people are like, "I can't," I get that not everyone has the funds for everything either. And so, like I said, like, I put myself in a bit of debt and not everyone's able to, do that. But that was just how I approached it. That was the way I thought was important for me. But there's so many free resources too, like
Sure.
Narrator's Roadmap, and there's so many ways to get coaching that isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg, that isn't, going to put you in debt like me. Um, and it's finding the things that work for you, and nobody's journey is going to be the same.
Yeah, and you come to this with a great background, so you already understood that you had to duplicate some things you had already done before, and but other people have other experiences where they can bring
Absolutely,
together what they've done. So as
absolutely.
we're right at the end here, we're wrapping up. Tell us about cool things coming up for you that that you'd love people to know about you.
Oh gosh, let's see. What do I have coming up? Well, I have some really cool books coming out. The book that I did for PRH is called Inamorata by Ava Reed. It's a dark gothic fantasy. That will be coming out, I believe, in March. Um, and yeah, I mean, I have releases all the time, and I'm not very good at social media, and that's the next thing I would like to get better at. Um, you know, I I hope to see people in real life. I'll be in New York for the Audis. I'm going with a bunch of people, and I hope that I get to see everyone in real life and give everyone a hug. And yeah, that's kind of it. Hopefully, I get to meet you, and I hope this was helpful for people who are starting their journey. I'm always available. I am on social media under Monica Plant and Kingsley Rose, so you can find me. And feel free to reach out if you have questions. If there's something I can help with, I'm more than happy to because I had so many people who really helped me at the beginning, and it's been pivotal. And I still have people, still have so many people who are willing to help, and that's what I love about this community so much, so,
That's awesome, awesome,
yeah.
awesome. Johnny, you have anything you want to talk about?
Real quickly, what's that? Yeah, real quick, if you're coming to town for the awards, the Audis, that evening, I do the Naughties, which we've been doing for years. It's a before, during, and after party. It's free. It's a Connolly's Bar in 45th.
It's so fun.
So, it's free. If you're not, you can come. What happens is people dress like me in jeans and T-shirts and hang out, and you hang out all night,
They
and
come from
then when the
Audis
Audis
in
are
their
over,
outfits, yeah.
you come in. This will be early because the Audis start early this year, but it's usually around midnight or so. But now probably around 9 or so, people in tuxedos and gowns come in with their trophies and hang out at this bar, and it's just fun. All you spend is whatever you want to eat and drink. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a gathering place, and it's fun. So if you want to come, shoot me a note if you have any questions. It's just fun. I've got that, and I'm doing a book called Vengeance starting next week at Macmillan. It's the story of Custer's last stand. So I'm
Oh,
excited about that.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yay.
And I've got
Don,
pre-read is going crazy here. So we've just released this a couple weeks ago. Pre-read covers about 80% of your prep work in 10 minutes. And that's the goal for it. And it's been crazy what's happened with that. It's gotten some word of mouth that's going wild. So if you haven't checked it out, preread.vojumpstart.com. So we're happy you're here. Johnny, do you remember who we have next week? I don't remember, but
No,
okay.
I know I don't. I might can look it up. It will be done by then. Just
Okay.
just follow us.
So
You guys, by the way, if you like the show, comment on it, like it, and share it. We've been doing this for 2 years.
yep. Yep.
I know you're here, so I don't want to complain about you guys, but share it so people know, because it's here's Monica just giving her time and energies to you. And I think that needs to be shared with everybody. And thank you, Monica.
Yeah, you're a dream.
You're adorbs, as they say. So
Oh, well, thank
yeah.
you.
All right. Well, as always, we look forward to seeing you on the wires, and we'll see you
Thanks,
next week. Have a
everyone, and
great
thanks for
one.
having me, you guys. Thanks for being
Bye-bye.
here.
Thanks. Hold that fake smile for just